This morning on Top Talkers, we're going to talk about one of the two sure things in life, taxes. And Metrolinx, which is a province-wide provincial transit agency in charge of transit development in the actual Greater Toronto and Hamilton area, now it's called the GTHA, is talking about ways to fund transit in that area. And one of the recommendations was to possibly raise the HST. We'll get into this with our panel this morning. Melanie Adams from 93.9 Bob FM, along with Cody Jeffries, and Kurt Stoodley, our very own. So, with this recommendation from the Greater Toronto Hamilton area about raising the HST, now it's interesting about that because that would sure fund their transit issues, but HST is province-wide, so
yeah, that
how do you feel about that?
Strange. Well, I mean, every time I see one of these stories, I know it costs money to make things better. I understand that. But what I hear every time one of these stories comes out is, don't buy a house, Melanie. You won't be able to afford it in 5 years, Melanie. Like, we know. Just stop telling us how much more things will cost. Ignorance is bliss, really, as far as I'm concerned.
Things don't go down. Of course, we would see some of this money trickle toward our transit here in Ottawa as well. There are some benefits to it. How do you feel about upping the HST, Cody?
Don't we pay enough tax?
No, clearly
not.
I like Melanie's puppet. What does it have to say about taxes?
Right, that puppet that the puppet that says, you know, it's not getting easier, right?
No, it's really not.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I, in no way, shape, or form want to have anything to do with paying an extra tax so that Toronto and Hamilton can upgrade their transit system. However, I do not have a problem with the mayor's idea of a specific tax, and it wouldn't be a ton of money, you know, over a period of a year per resident. A specific tax designed to improve our transit situation. Because light rail transit, the initial stages are paid for. But later on, we're going to want to expand this, obviously, and the money has to come from somewhere. I agree with the mayor on that. And what I would like to see as a resident is a specific tax aimed at that, but I want it identified, okay? I want to know exactly how much tax I'm paying as an individual. I want to know how much tax we're all paying as residents of this city. And I want to make sure that it goes directly to what it's designed for, and that's expanding LRT and transit service in this community.
So what Kurt's talking about is transparency, and do you feel that would make it a bit more palatable for you if you knew for sure that was going towards something specific?
It would, and I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but there was a number thrown out there today, and I think it was 10 million or 10 billion, and only a percentage of that was earmarked for transit or whatever it was, was actually going to it.
No, this has got to go directly to it, right? If there's going to be a separate tax, and I want it separate, right, and clearly identified on your tax bill or what have you, that you can look and see where it's going and to make sure that it's... I also, by the way, I forgot to mention that I would like the LRT to come to my door.
Yes, exactly. Don't you feel like you're paying for it?
It must come directly to my door at the times I need it.
Right, exactly. Call ahead service would be nice. Call ahead service would be nice.
3:45 a.m., please. Thank you.
Yeah, and when you talk about taxes, it's interesting because it's not a flat rate, right? It's a percentage, and each tax increase that we go through takes more and more of your income by percentage.
Yes.
But luckily, my income that I make every year goes up that exact same percentage every.
That's not the case. No, that's not the way it goes.
And so we're starting to see that Canadians are feeling the crunch. Is that something that you experience or worry about at all?
I do, because I mean, while the taxes go up, like Melanie said, our salaries don't always go up. So where does that balance out? I mean, gas, isn't that supposed to go up the taxes there as well? I've heard. So I mean, everything's coming out of our pocket, but what's going back in?
I don't care what they do. If they just don't call it a gas tax, people will go insane if they do.
Well, gas at such a high rate now, and we know we're moving off into gas tax here, but it's part of it. You know, so gas tax takes a percentage, and as the price of gas goes up, that should be increasing the cash that goes into the coffers.
Do you ever see that pie chart with what part of gas is taxes? Holy moly!
So why isn't that money being used differently? Like, why isn't that enough money, I wonder?
Well, because we haven't made them make it enough. We haven't made them use it differently. We haven't made them show us where the money was going. If we want, like you say, transparency, we have to make the government do it, but we don't.
I just think it's, you know, it's next to impossible to pay a provincial or a federal tax earmarked for certain developments and so on, and actually understand and believe that it goes to that. If it was a city imposed tax, right, on your city tax bill, on your whatever tax bill you get, or, you know, if you're a renter, you would get the same sort of setup. If it's a city imposed tax bill, then we know it's not going to other parts of the province. I don't mean to be greedy here, but we've got our own transport problems that we need to look after. And I don't give rat's patootie about Toronto or Hamilton.
Exactly.
Right? I've never been on the GO train unless forced.
Right. Gotcha. Well, there you have it. That's the thoughts from our panel this morning. Thank you very much to you. And to you, if you join in on the conversation on our Facebook page, we always like to hear from you as well.